Look forward to the NHRA action this weekend. They've had some spectacular races this season. It's been a great season for auto racing in general.
Oh, it has been. Racing's been great. NHRA is fun to race. Tomorrow I'm going to be sitting at the house watching Indy cars, watching drag racing. We got it all right here at ESPN, and I'm happy to see that.
So Brad Keselowski leads at lap 74, about to complete the 75th lap. He's moved away from Kyle Busch by about 0.8 of a second. There's the gap. Now looking a little bit farther back, we're going to find Jason Leffler's car, the 38 machine. Now this is a track where we've talked about a couple of times already today, brakes being at a premium and glowing brake rotors and that kind of thing. Well, Jason's brake rotors have been glowing and maybe a little too much.
Yeah, we were just talking about brakes and how much better they are, but you can see right here, this is extremely hot. I mean, you're seeing that brake rotor, and now he's lost the pedal. We're hearing that he's almost totally lost the brake.
Dave, is that what he's saying?
Absolutely. Listen to the radio just a few laps ago from Jason Leffler.
Pedal's going away here, bud. 10-4, try to take care of it so we can stop here. Can't turn if I don't use the brakes. You know, we're in a world here. I got to run a lot of brakes to keep the nose down and keep it turning. 4. They're gone. Brakes are all the way to the floor, bud.
Let's go to the Craftsman Tech Garage. Tim, how do they handle this brewing brake problem?
The only thing they can do, Dave, if they've got any tape left on the nose, they have to take it off, put more airflow down through the hoses to cool the rotors. But when the brake fluid boils, that's an indicator. That's when air gets in there and the pedal gets real soft. It's not going to stop. What Brembo has done, we conduct airflow down through here and down through the caliper. See these exhaust holes right here? We get right in this area right here to cool behind the piston, because right here, that's where the fluid's at, and that's what created the problem.
You know, the teams have done, and the brake companies have done such a good job of keeping that caliper cool that they're able to use them more and more and more, and that's why you see that rotor taking all the abuse and getting so hot.
You know, Andy, when anyone come across the radio and tell me, hey, man, your brakes are really glowing red, I mean, the first thing I would do, though, is try to help that problem would be to start screwing more rear brake proportion to the back, actually putting more pressure on the rear wheels, taking some pressure off the front. Now, that'll help cool them down, but you got to be careful doing that, because if you put too much, that'll lock up the rear wheels going at the corner, and that's the problem here at Richmond. This is a real loosey place getting at the corner. Is that a word? I think it is.
It is now.
Yeah, that's a problem you can have getting into turn one.
And the other problem Jason Leffler has is because he's having to ease off, he's fallen 20 seconds behind the leader at a place where the leader's turning 24-second laps. So if this thing runs green for much longer, Leffler's going to find himself a lap down.
He'll find himself a lap down. Well, one thing I would be concerned about as his crew chief is what can we do to help the car, change the car to where you don't have to use as much brake, and we can take a little stress off of that. Because normally the brake problems are on ill-handling cars. Not on the good-handling cars, you don't usually see a brake problem.
Hey, speaking of going a lap down, here's Brad Keselowski about to put Clint Boyer
Man, I'd have never
a lap down. 21 car, former Richmond winner. He's in 20th place, and he's a lap down. Couple of cautions, no pit stops for the leaders. We'll talk about when we might expect to see them on pit road in just a minute. Drivers in the top 5 have won 12 of the last 13 Nationwide Series races. They're dominating tonight. Riding on board the leader's car, Brad Keselowski, the second driver to pace tonight's NASCAR Nationwide Series race here in Richmond. Kyle Busch led the first 58 laps. Keselowski went by him and has been out in front ever since. He's opened up an advantage on second place of 3.5 seconds. He's hauling tonight. There's Brendan Gaughan on the move.
Yeah, you talk about those brake rotors getting hot. That car's got really hot brake rotors. I mean, that's the point with the crew chief, the spotters got to be screaming at him.
Yeah,
watch those brakes.
One thing he's screaming is the leader's coming, so you better get all you got right now.
That was for 16th place. Trevor Bayne fading back a little bit. So what do? You want to save the brake rotors, but you got to keep from getting lapped.
Yeah, that's a hard little thing to handle there.
Alan, just what I said. I mean, I'd be trying to put some rear proportion to the back. Do anything you can not to lose the speed out of the car, but cool the brakes down.
Here's Greg Biffle in the 27, Joey Logano in the 20, and they're racing for 7th place. Andy, we thought Logano would get right up there and challenge for the lead in this one.
Well, there's still a lot of time left. You know, he didn't charge up there at the beginning, but he's one of those guys that really does, you know, work on his car and peaks at the right time at the end of the race.
This 2017 finds himself in an interesting situation. Because of a change in laws regulating smokeless tobacco, that sponsorship on that 27 car has to come off the machine at the end of June. So they've only got 4 more races with Greg Biffle in that car, and with sponsorship, before they're looking at the unknown.
Yeah, and as good as this car's run, you would think that they wouldn't have much trouble replacing that sponsor. With Greg Biffle in there, I mean, he couldn't ask for a better package.
But talked with Gary Baker, the team owner, this morning. They're nervous. They don't have anything signed yet. Doc, they've just lost a spot there, but having a solid run so far.
And they desperately need it, as you and I both spoke with Gary Baker. And Gary told me again, right as they were climbing in the car and helping buckle in Greg Biffle, 4 races with Greg Biffle, as you said, 2 with Scott Wimmer at Nashville and Kentucky. And then, for all intents and purposes, they could be done. But they've got some people watching tonight. He said, if we can just somehow take advantage of one of these next 6 races and get the victory lane, we could have someone jump on board and finish out the year. And guys, they are 7th right now in car owner points.
Tough spot in the middle of the season to be trying to find sponsorship, but a good driver, a good team, and we'll see what happens with them. Now, speaking of good, that 66 car that just went by Greg Biffle, that's Stephen Wallace, and he's having a solid night. He started back in 19th.
Oh, we got a problem in turn 4 here. It's like a right front tire's gone down on this 43.
Legacy's car bringing out caution for the 3rd time.
Oh, negative.
Well, he dodged a bullet. Hardly ever you blow a right front tire at any racetrack and not hit the wall.
Yeah, that's a great
here.
job. But Andy, I got to believe this caution came about the right time for a lot of guys. With 95 laps into it, a lot of brake rotors glowing. They needed to get these tires off, cool these brakes down now.
Yeah, need a little fuel about this time now, too.
You can see Paul Menard on the apron there with some damage to his right front. Looked like maybe fender damage, maybe even a right front tire down on that car. So he got a piece of this somewhere. Whoa, man.
Yeah, just blew.
Stay low.
Legacy doing a great job right there not to hit anything. I don't know how he did that.
And Menard is going to pit road there when the caution comes out.
I'm not sure he didn't have an issue with his right front tire.
He must have driven straight through because he's still out there with the damage.
Look at all that smoke coming off that right front. I mean, watching that tire blow, to me, that was just an overheat condition, I believe, which blew that tire out from brake heat.
Very likely. He's going to go a lap down right here as the field comes by, but they had to pit to get that tire off.
So Brendan Gaughan is going to get the free pass here, and this will bring all of the leaders to pit road for the first time in this race. I don't think a lot of them would have expected they'd run 95 laps before they got a chance to pit. But there it is. So now what? You only get a couple shots at this, and the distance between now and your last pit stop has just gotten shorter.
Yeah, and we just also talked earlier on our show, Alan, about how important coming down pit road is. I mean, as a driver, what can you do to mess it up? You can speed. You can just take off those jacks, and when you leave, you get busted. I don't think they really get busted coming into the pits. It's the excitement leaving.
And this is an opportunity for the crews to actually get in the game, so to speak, gain a few spots, and see if they can't contribute to getting a victory for their team.
Stops will be on the 98th lap. And Dave, you're first up.
The 12th car of Justin Allgaier, he was asked about his race car, and he said, well, how do my times look? Chad Walter told him, you are the man. Brakes look good, times look good. I don't want to change you much. Just a little left side air pressure for the 12 car. 4 fresh tires for Justin Allgaier. Doc?
Carl Edwards will get 4 tires and 2 cans of Sunoco fuel. He said the car is loose in the center, but shoving the nose coming off. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment in the right rear and a track bar adjustment as well. Mike?
In conversations with his driver, Paul Wolfe told Brad Keselowski, whatever we do, it's going to be small. Just a little air pressure adjustment, trying to tighten him up. Also a 4-tire change. Meanwhile, Kyle Busch fighting a very loose race car. They're going to pull a spring rubber from the right rear as they're going to work on that car right now. A little bit slow. Looks like they got hung up a little bit in the pits. And they're finally away on the 18.
And as we check our nationwide insurance race off pit road, Kyle Busch losing 4 spots by them taking the time to pull that spring rubber and maybe having a little trouble doing that as well. We'll come back for the restart. Keselowski leads.